I want to acknowledge the spirit of the ancestors through time and the knowledge of the wisdom that they knew through time. Yeah, we live in a Western world, and in the Western world we have failed to acknowledge the wisdom or the knowledge passed down by not just the Aboriginal culture, but by Indigenous cultures worldwide. It's time we stop to listen to cultures that have survived for 60,000 years and more. In understanding that, there is a lot of wisdom that needs to be understood for our survival of our future. We have gone, in the early days, there are over 20 odd countries around the world and have found paintings which are stick-figured humans with little balls between the legs and the arms. Not knowing what these are, but eventually over the years, scientists have discovered that man used to be able to see the torus field of the field of a being. In other words, back in the ancient arts of the past, man, Aboriginal culture, other native cultures, could look at a human and see the energy field of the human. And around the human was a torus field around that human, which was just two balls of light on both sides. We've gone from understanding this invisible world right over from the left to the right. We're in this world of analytical understanding, an external world of molecular structure. But we've failed to understand the internal world of the spirit. All things first were invisible before they came visible. Can anybody out there hand me a thought? Not one of you can, because it's invisible. Because your thought creates the thought form evolves to a life form. At the life form status, everything survives because it has a right to its life. Therefore, that thought has a right to the thought that created in that moment of time. Therefore, it will reproduce itself in that moment of time and set itself up. You now become the host of your own creation. And as the host of your own creation, that life form reproducing itself is attempting to take over you. It's evolving, it's learning, it's gaining intelligence by your reactors. And as you react, it evolves to the next stage, where it eventually becomes an entity. When it reaches the entity state, it now can take over and you have no control. And mainstream may call it compulsive disorder, multiple personality, schizophrenia, bipolar, a whole range of other labels they put on it. But the moment you put a label on something, you deny it of all the other possibilities that it could be in nature. Because the moment you put a label on it, you have now created it through your intent into the creation that you perceive it to be, and that is what it will be. It's understanding, we need to get back to understanding this ancient knowledge of how the universe works and survives. I'll be doing a number of segments down the track. Some of those will be on animal spirits and how they interfere with humans, people with Tourette's. We have times spirits that enter human bodies through reciprocal exchange of energy. They have the right to be there. I have a lot of war vets. 40 years after Vietnam War, we have spirits of Viet Cong talking out of the body. We have people that have accidents, and those spirits have entered them because they're responsible for their death. We have people that are stuck in time. We have belief systems. We have rituals through time that allow other forces and other beings in. So down the track I'm going to be doing 10-minute segments of a number of areas, introducing you into some of the old knowledge that's out there of the dimensions of the world that we live in. To enlighten you a little bit more of what's happening today, and more so to enlighten governments, to enlighten mental health workers and health workers of the areas that are taking place that have not been addressed. You know, in children's hospitals you have over 50% of cases where there's no physical understanding of the illness that they've got. How many of those are cases that have come from the past that the children are stuck in and reliving those traumas until they're cleared? These are some of the areas we'll be going into down the track. At present, my aim right now is to introduce you into holographic kinetics and its future, because this is the future. We have people with heart transplants. When they put a heart in, that heart has another spirit connected to it because the spirit's connected to the heart, and you have a change of personalities. We can bring the spirit up that owns that heart and have it talk it out of the body. You have science today called epigenetics, which is acknowledging now the genetic issues that are passed down through the generations. But how do they access it? They can't. We can have the spirit of the great-great-great-grandmother through the hologram of time talking out of your body. And we can change the trauma that's come down through time, through that generation, and make changes to it. There are so many areas we can access today and understand which is the ancient knowledge of the past. It's understand how to live by the laws of law, because this universe has laws itself. And those laws cover every dimension. If you're another dimension, you invade this dimension and you're governed by these laws. And you enter this dimension, you're governed by the laws of this dimension. If we enter your dimension, we're governed by the laws of that dimension. If we take drugs and alcohol and open wormholes by allowing our defences to be down, we enter into other dimensions of reality. And beings in those dimensions of reality now have the right to enter our dimension of reality. They can then take over our reality. These are some of the areas we'll be getting into as an introduction to holographic kinetics.